Hey guys, X back with more Final Fantasy XIV. When we last left off, we had finally finished the Trials of Trustworthiness, which were nothing more than a bunch of random chores that they used to hold us up while they repaired the horn we need to summon Hraesvelgr. First and foremost, we're gonna check on Bayan's descent into darkness. We just hit level 39 on Dark Knight, so that's a thing. We're one level away. We'll probably do that tomorrow. But anyways, let's get right down to the storyline. As Chieftain Moglin already explained, the shiny instrument we gave you is the best means of grabbing Hraesvelgr's attention. I'll come along and show you the way to Zenith. That's the big place where you need to blow the horn. First things first, though, we need to make for Asa. Oh, and watch out for rampaging dragons. Maybe that should have been the first thing, Kupo? Alright. Oops. I think we want to take this path, seeing as how the arrows point. And I think we want to go this way. Alright. Alright, here we are, Asa. Things were a bit bitey for a while there, but I think we arrived in one piece, Kupo. I wonder what is the dragon so awfully snappy. I mean, the bad ones are always bad, but they seem worse than usual. Alright, let's equip our new, armor. Ugh. Could I just glamour that, please? No? Okay, well, waiting for the wind to change. We may have a small problem, Kupo. When the winds are high like this, Hraesvelgr invariably abandons his lofty perch and heads to the lands below to hunt. If you tried blowing the horn now, I doubt he'd hear it. I suggest we stop at the clearing up ahead and rest until the wind dies down. First, attune to this ether current. This should do nicely, Kupo. The winds will likely have died down by tomorrow, but until then, we might as well make ourselves comfortable. If we must interrupt our journey so close to its end, I suppose this is a place as good as any. And mayhap a brief respite from the hardships of the road will help to clear our minds in readiness for the coming parley. Very well then, I believe a campfire is in order. Leave the gathering of fuel to me. I acquired a keen nose for firewood during my time in the frozen wastes of Kurthus. Clear our minds. 'Tis Master Alfino whose mind needs clearing. The thought of meeting a great worm in the flesh has befuddled the boy. Did you see him stroll away as if the ruins were not crawling with deadly beasts? Follow him, Bayan, and see what the wildlife does not make a meal of your young fan. We will have camp ready by the time you return. First things first. Reply.
There's nothing to reply.
Next. Alright. Alright, before we do this, we'll be right back. I gotta go get something. Alright, I'm back. Let's do this. Where'd my controller go? There it is. I see I was right to worry about the boy's safety. Once Alphino returns with the wood, we can see about supper. Supper. The Ice Queen has filled a pot with what looked like stew ingredients, ready for the fire. Nothing like sitting at a campfire between friends. Give me a sec, I'm eating this burger. I was hoping for voiceovers, but... Few things compare to the simple pleasure of sitting beside a crackling campfire of one's own making. Ha! So speaks the great explorer. Until recently, you wouldn't have recognized firewood if it came with kindling and a flint. 'Tis well you instructed me so patiently, then. But yes, left to my own devices, I would have been compelled to signal to your sail with a pile of damp leaves. I was born the pampered son of a Charlian dignitary, and alongside my twin, became the youngest student ever to be accepted into the studium. How proud I was to match wits with scholars and philosophers. How ignorant of mine own shortcomings. That hubris invited manipulation and betrayal, and led to the downfall of the Scions. We all of us are guilty of similar ignorance. How many men lay down their lives never knowing what it is they truly fight for, never questioning that which they've been taught to believe? 'Twas only upon meeting Hraesvelgr that I learned the truth hidden within our history. Were it not for that chance encounter, I would never have vowed to tear down the Holy See and expunge the falsehoods with which it fans the flames of conflict. I would have lived and died in ignorance. That the truth has driven me to do terrible things I cannot deny, but I would rather sin in pursuit of peace than imagine myself virtuous for perpetuating a needless war. If this journey has taught me anything, it is the importance and difficulty of holding one's convictions in the face of failure. Of striving always to replace one's ignorance with knowledge. You are well on your way, Master Alphino. At your age, I was but a fool swinging a spear, with scarcely a thought in my head. Even now I struggle to acknowledge the misconceptions under which I have labored. Sitting here, amongst these grand ruins, how can I deny that man and dragon once lived in peace? But for all that such an age existed, we are now in a time of war. Nidhogg killed my family, and no quirk of history will exonerate him. I may be ignorant of how the Dragonsong War began, but if we do not put an end to this conflict now, I can say for a certain... Oh, whoops, wrong voice, sorry. I may be ignorant of how the Dragonsong War began, but if we do not put an end to this conflict now, I can say for a certainty that it will only breed more vengeful souls such as mine. In my hands resides the power to vanquish a great wyrm. If Ishgard's survival rests on me wielding that power, I will slay Nidhogg myself, orders or no. Estinian, you gave your word! My word is contingent on the success of our parley. Show me the strength of your convictions, Lady Iceheart. Convince Hraesvelgr of the righteousness of your cause. Doubt not but that I shall, Dragoon. Well, when's willing, we shall have our answers on the morrow. Let us sleep now and face our fate with the rising of the sun. A peaceful night under the stars. Gotta love it. And how convenient, 6:46 a.m. Eorzean time. The campfire was so cozy. I must have fallen asleep, Kupo. But do you feel how the winds have shifted? They will have borne Hraesvelgr back to the skies above Zenith. I'm sure of it. This is your chance to climb the highest floor of the palace and summon him with a toot on that shiny horn. So, I'll be heading back now, if it's all the same to you. Good luck, Kupo. It was nice knowing you. It was nice knowing you? Really? Alright. He seems pretty determined at the fact that we might die. There it is. Zenith. Tenchi, I'm gonna have you withdraw for now. Here we are. Zenith. Man, look at this place. Now for these next few particular scenes with Hraesvelgr, he's gonna speak in a weird language, I believe. So I will offer the translations as much as I can because, well, the translations on the subtitles. But I'm just taking my time just to draw out a little bit. Plus I want the sun to rise a little bit more. Man, the Dragonsong War really did a number on this place. And heaven's near. bright, so fell dark. Sorry, every time I hear this tune, I always think of Dragonsong, because this is essentially the tune, the Dragonsong, but frickin'. Alright, let's see here. There we go. We have to climb all the way up that. I'm kind of nervous. I've been waiting all day for the weather to clear in the churning mist so that this scene can be perfect. A clear blue sky. You know what? I think I've wasted enough time. Here we are. It is time, Warrior of Light. So this is the place. Lend me your resolve, Saint Shiva. Here we go. Mortals, why do you disturb my solitude? Hraesvelgr.
Hraesvelgr.
Thou speakest the name of a creature that but awaiteth the release of oblivion. Leave me.
Either 12. Mine ears hear the tongue of dragons, yet the meaning rings clear within my mind. How can that be?
Hraesvelgr, do you not remember me? 'Twas I whom you found in Dravania. I who glimpsed the truth about your past, about Shiva.
Do not speak her name, mortal.
But speak it I must. I have summoned Shiva's soul from the beyond and offered myself as her vessel. She has made her heart known to me.
Foolish girl. Thinkest thou my beloved spirit hath descended from the heavens? That the secrets of her heart are thine to know?
I have surrendered mine to her. Do you not see, my love? I am Shiva reborn.
Gullible fool. The light but illuminated the past for thee. It did not grant thee omniscience. The spirit thou hast summoned belongeth not to Shiva. 'Tis but a shade conjured by thine own fancy. In an age long past, mine own kin were guilty of like folly. Beguiled by the Dark One's lies, they attempted to resurrect a king amongst worms. Yet the divinity they called forth merely borrowed the semblance of my fallen brood brother. Such gods are not summoned, but created. Phantoms spun from the threads of misplaced faith.
Then the spirit that answered
Was but thy dream of Shiva. Thy soul hath been corrupted by a deity of thine own making, child.
Be that as it may, Lord Hraesvelgr, Izel's desire to heal the rift between man and dragon is real, and it has borne us this far. We would spare both our kind and yours the ravages of this senseless war. Pray join your voice to ours in a call for peace and forgiveness.
The tale of thy kind is one of avarice, treachery, and death, and thou wouldst speak to me of peace. Hark thee, mortal, to the naked truth. Then tell me thou deservest forgiveness. 1,200 years ago, my beloved Shiva's sacrifice served to bring an end to the war twixt man and dragon, paving the way for an age of peace and cooperation. Two centuries of harmony were to follow, during which time the Elezen learned much about us, not least that the eyes of the great worm are the wellspring of its strength. 'Twas out of the selfish desire to possess this strength that King Thornton then conspired to undo all that our peoples had achieved together. With the aid of his Leal Knights, that most noble of Elezen lured my brood brother, Ratatoskir, into an ambush, and took from her that which he craved. Fain would I strike the image from my mind, yet still the scene doth linger, of my brood sister's tattered corpse, defiled by her Elezen allies. They had torn out her eyes and feasted upon them in the manner of wild beasts. Yet that was not all, for from their bloody banquet, the fiends had gained strength beyond that of mortal men. Even now, I labor to comprehend the enormity of their betrayal. Nidhogg was the first to learn of the atrocity, and he took to the skies, hungry for vengeance. But though he slew Thordon and some few of his knights, their fellow butchers knew only too well where to aim their spears, and would now practice savagery, they set about my brood brother, sending him flailing from the field. Such is the truth the Holy See would keep hidden. Such was the beginning of the Dragonsong War. 'Tis a song my kind shall ne'er forget. And should 10,000 years pass, and Ishgard crumble into dust,
your tale bears scant resemblance to the one I was taught. How convenient that it should absolve your kind of all responsibility. But tell me, Dragon, why should I believe your version of events?
What thou choosest to believe is immaterial. The betrayal that yet haunts mine every waking moment is no less than the truth to my kind. And Nidhogg meaneth for Thornton's people to suffer for this sin till the end of days. That which thou imaginest a war of extinction is but a punishment, a siege of the spirit. Hast thou not seen those who tire of the torment, those who abandon their own and side with dragonkind?
Ishgard's so-called heretics.
Know that all the traitor's progeny bear a trace of Radatosskir's essence. But a single sip of our blood is enough to awaken it.
Then, the seed lies within us.
'Tis for this reason that those who abandon their loyalties are rewarded with a drink, and thus are they transformed to join the ranks of Nidhogg's ever-growing army as newborn dragons, one by one. Though through death or defection, my brood brother shall account for all of the betrayer's children.
Ye gods, I had borne witness to such a transformation. Looked on as a heretic assumed the shape of a dragon. I imagined it some manner of Dravanian enchantment. But if any Ishgardian, regardless of allegiance, has such potential within them, 12 forgive us. To think of all the dragons we've slain.
There will always be some, of course, who choose to fight until the bitter end. Like thee, Dragoon. But struggle as thou might, thy youthful vigor will be spent ere thou reachest 210, and Nidhogg shall remain to torment thine offspring.
Oft have I wondered why Nidhogg did not simply raze Ishgard to the ground. Now I have my answer. He has no intention of winning the Dragonsong War, for it is no war at all, but vengeance. An eternal requiem sung for his murdered sister.
Thou hast the right of it, Dragon Slayer. Comprehendest thou now the futility of thy quest?
I have not come this far only to admit defeat. We can still return the eye to Nidhogg and beg forgiveness for our ancestors' crimes. Mayhap our words will sway him.
Stubborn child, thou thinkest in mortal terms. Our perception of time is too broad for thee to grasp. 'Tis a simple matter for thee to offer thine apologies. Thou didst not perpetuate the crime. Despite thy visions, the deeds of history seem distant to thee. For a wyrm such as Nidhogg, however, that history is yet part of his present, as fresh as the blood that did gush from Ratatosk's wounds. How could he not be driven mad? 'Tis only by the calming embrace of Shiva's soul that mine own fury hath not consumed me. But let us speak no more of what is done. My faith in your kind is spent, and I would be alone. Well, ain't that a fine kettle of fuck all? Hraesvelgr was every bit as awe-inspiring as I imagined. His voice fairly dripped with power. The will behind his words so undeniable that it transcended my ignorance of the dragon's tongue. 'Tis but a pity that I misliked what he said. So far did we travel, even unto the very heavens themselves, only to be dismissed like unruly children. And far from mitigating this humiliation, the hidden truths we have learned serve only to prove that our grand mission of peace was destined to fail from the first. Nothing will deter Nidhogg from his course. Oh, yeah. Well...
Well, what do you propose we do now? I, for one, am intent on continuing to the east.
What is there to be found in the east?
Nidhogg's lair, the Eyrie, is said to lie in that direction. And the eye tells me he is near.
You cannot still mean to slay him.
You cannot still mean to stop me. I have been true to my word, and aided you in this fool's errand with Hraesvelgr. But your efforts at parley have come to naught, Lady Iceheart. I would see Ishgard saved, and for that, Nidhogg must die.
With the tale of our ancestors' vile betrayal yet ringing in your ears, you speak of continuing this war?
Nay, lady. I would but pierce its vengeful heart. When Nidhogg dies, this war shall die with him.
A moment, Estinian. You yourself spoke of the Great Worm's strength, that you believed him powerful enough to raise your city to the ground. How then are we few to challenge him? Even behind the stout walls of Ishgard, with an army of knights manning the defenses, our victory would be hard won. Yet you propose to contend with the beast in his own lair.
In close combat, this will afford us an advantage. And if the tales are true, the Warrior of Light has bested many an invincible foe. But such speculation is meaningless if we cannot even find the worm. Our first task must be to seek out Nidhogg's lair.
The story of this nation grows bloodier by the moment. Must death always be answered with more of the same?
Such is the way of things, I fear. I shall consider it a miracle if mine armor is not stained crimson ere this conflict is ended.
I should be blinded by my own lies. Everything I believed, everything I thought I was, gone. All gone.
Leave her. Your words will not reach her now. And we have not the time to wait for her to gather up the pieces of her shattered faith.
Poor Sale. Alright. Before we go, though, we're gonna attune to this ether current. You know what, actually, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in a bit. Kruznik out.